Hey, have you found yourself maybe June or May or April excited for the summer and thinking this is definitely going to be the summer of my life, and this is the summer where I'm going to make memories, enjoy my life, live life to the fullest, only for summer to come and you just spend it scrolling or sleeping or lying around and it's nothing like you had anticipated in your head? And funny thing is that in the winter we keep on accusing the rain and the snow, if it snows where you are, and the bad weather to be the reason why we're not going out, only for the weather to get better in summer, and there is not that much of a difference. And you know what makes it even worse is seeing people's pictures on Instagram or I don't know, WhatsApp status if you're people who post on there, or of seeing vlogs or here on YouTube, and it feels like everyone is out there living their best lives while you're in bed rolling your life away and watching TV. Best case scenario. First of all, you're not alone. And second of all, you need to remember that when all these people's memories are compiled, it feels like everyone is living this glamorous, very active, very adventurous life. But you are seeing different memories from different people. You're seeing 20 trips from, let's say, 18 people. So those people took just one trip, or maybe a couple of them took more than one. Or to make it worse, you might be looking at influencers or celebrities who obviously have the resources to do this. Not to mention, this is their job. Like, people forget that when an influencer goes on a trip, she can first of all write it off as a business expense. Secondly, she might be gifted the hotel stay. I get gifted stuff and I barely have followers on here on TikTok and Instagram. The clothes might be free, the flights might have major discounts, but then she comes, makes a vlog, makes Instagram content from that, and then makes money from it. So for them, it's actually business. They are at work, even though obviously it's arguable if that is work. I do think it's work. That's up to you, however it is that you feel about that. Anyway, I just want to make it clear that looking at people's memories through social media can make it seem like everyone is living a more grand life than they actually are. But in reality, for the most part of the summer, for any normal life, quite frankly, even celebrities, like, you cannot be on holiday all the time. And even if you are on holiday, don't forget, wherever you are, there you are. No, wherever you go, there you are. So even if you are in Italy, you still have to wake up in the morning, find breakfast, find a way to occupy yourself. And don't get me wrong, of course, the difference I know is between working and not having to work. But then what's your excuse for not utilizing your weekends? I guess you could argue that you are resting, but this video is about making memories, not resting. If you want a video about resting, you're gonna have to look somewhere else. But anyway, I just wanted to point out that some of those people that you do look at that make memories that are non-celebrities or influencers, the difference between you and them is that they are planning their summers. And you're like, I can plan a summer. Yeah, but you're waiting for June and July to start making plans for the summer. Do you know that saying that summer bodies are built in winter? Epic summers are planned in winter. I would not consider myself someone who has like elaborate planned summers, but also just because it's been like, I don't know, 5 years. This is only my 5th summer, I would say. Yeah, this is only my 5th summer, so I've not been living this life like for a really long time. But I feel like I'm getting to the point where I can say I'm gonna have an adventurous summer, and I know exactly what to look out for and what to plan for. And the past 2 years I've had the best summers of my life, which has not been a hard statistic to beat, considering I've not had that many summers. But I would say also, let's say, school breaks from when I was not living with seasons. And these are some of the characteristics I've seen, because the plans I've made them with people. This is the kind of characteristic I've seen amongst those people, and that is that they plan their summers. Like, when the weather starts to loosen up a little bit, when the clocks go forward, everyone starts calling the other, everyone starts asking the other, hey, what are you doing this summer? What are you doing for your birthday? What are you doing on whatever days in summer? What are you going to Wimbledon? Are you going to that? And they're not waiting for June, July to come around, and then they're like, oops, it's Saturday, it's July, it's 23 degrees, and I have nothing to do. No. So before we get into the things you can plan for your summer, I just wanted to touch on one small point, that right now, when I'm giving advice on something like this, I cannot ignore the reason why people are spending most of their time indoors, which is obviously social media culture and the post-pandemic era. The pandemic kind of destroyed the fabric of society, like the fabric of just hanging out with friends, and we are yet to recover from that. I'm not going to ignore that, but now this kind of video I hope will be a step to help you do away with those effects. And I know the cost of living is very high. I've tried to keep this as cost-friendly, cost-effective as possible, but I'm not a billionaire. I'm not even a millionaire. If these work for me, they're most likely going to work for someone else. I work for a charity, so if these are going to work for me, they are definitely going to work for the most people. I'm assuming you have a job as you're watching this. Now, well, put that aside, I just have to say that yes, you will need the 3 main things you need for a social life, which are money, friends, and the materials, like the stuff you need, which is like clothes, of course, the phone to take pictures and all that. and I will touch on each of these materials, all the different elements, but you will need those things. But because a unique situation where I had to move to a different country and therefore have to build my friend group from scratch, I perfectly understand even people who haven't moved, they do face the problem of not having people to do things with. So I'm going to include tips on how to do those things either alone or to find people to do those things with, so everyone is included. This is an inclusive, safe space for everyone, even the lonely souls. So the first thing we are going to do in summer is picnics. They are insanely accessible, which is why I have them as number one. In fact, I'm going to go smallest to biggest. So picnics, really easy. Do not look at Pinterest to see what a picnic looks like. You can have a picnic that looks nothing like this that will actually end up being more fun and way more tasty than this, because to make beautiful food sometimes you do have to sacrifice on taste. So do not worry about that. You don't need to have an aesthetic picnic if that's what's throwing you off. Like, I imagine if a guy is saying this, you're going to see this and be like, I can't do that. Yes you can. Yes you can. Do not worry about finding the most exquisite food, finding matching plates, finding the most aesthetic mat. Just find an old blanket at home, clean hopefully, and take it to the park and sit on that. Hopefully it's also washable so you can clean it after. But more importantly, to get the food, actually most supermarkets in the summer and spring, they carry picnic food. Picnic is the word I made up for picnicable weather, but they carry like finger foods that are perfect for picnics. Yeah, so these are just foods. Maybe I'll make a resource list in the Substack that I'll write for this video, so that way you can go to that and find a menu. If you're completely green and don't know what to do, I'll do 2 picnic versions, and I'll have one which is maybe more Mediterranean, but the problem is a lot of picnics lie in that go in that direction. So maybe I'll do a different alternative that's from a different cuisine that is not just cheese and olives and crackers. Yeah, I'll see what alternative you can do. You can have strawberries, you can have wine if you drink. If you don't drink, you can have some juice, you can make mocktails. Actually, you can mix a few things in cups and just have that to drink. And the best thing about picnics is that you don't need a massive friend group. Like I mentioned, I will be trying to include people who might not have a massive friend group. You only need 2 people to start, and then up to, I don't know, 12 people. Who has more than 12 friends? Unless Jesus is watching this, I don't think anyone has 12 friends past the age of 19. But if you do, good for you, and please give us some tips in the comments. Anyway, yeah, they are, and the more people you are, you can encourage everyone to bring maybe one thing, or you can do all the shopping as one person and then split the bill later on. But it should come up to, you can have a good picnic for £10, like each per person, depending on how many you are, because if you're 6 people, that's £60, and that's also depends on how much alcohol you need. But you need maybe 4 baguettes, a bit of hummus, and another carb, and 2 bottles of wine, and you should have more than enough food to eat. I should have mentioned in the start that picnics are also really great in the sense that you don't need any planning at all. Like, I can have a picnic right now if I decide to. I can go to the supermarket, get some food, get some people to go with, and have a picnic within an hour without any planning. And that's because you don't need a venue, you don't need a menu. Oh, I just rhymed that. You don't need a venue or a menu. All you need to do is bring the food, where to sit, and maybe some entertainment depending on how many people you are. But I feel like if you're more than 3 people, you should just talk to each other. But you can bring some books, you can bring a speaker, you can bring, well, I wouldn't encourage this, but I don't know, a computer. Maybe you can watch something for a couple of hours. What's the point of living in your house if you're going to do the same exact thing that you do at home when you go out? Yeah. And maybe finally, I'll also say picnics are best started in spring, in my opinion. You start them in spring so they light that fire under your butt to get excited to hang out with your friends. And since it's a spring appropriate activity, it opens the social season, and it's also very inclusive to everyone. That's why I root for it. Number 2 is going to be sporting events, and you don't have to enjoy a sport to go watch it. Think of it as World Cup. Like, not everyone watches football or the Olympics. Not everyone, like, I was just watching the Winter Olympics past couple of weeks and I couldn't even name the sports, but it's still enjoyable to watch. So you really don't have to follow any specific sports to go to them. The energy is so infectious. That kind of depends on the sport. Some sports are a bit more toxic than others, some are more snobbish than others. I've been on the train when football fans are coming from matches, and it does get crazy, especially if you're a woman and you have to go home late and maybe you're alone. But I don't know, just make provisions for that. Or I would not encourage a woman, honestly, to go to a football game alone. And then tennis, majorly snobbish. That is true. I play tennis and I agree. a lot of people who play tennis have that element of we are better than other people. I don't know, like maybe it's such, what's the word, upper class? I don't know, like it's mostly played by upper class people who've got money, but anyone can play tennis. If you want to play tennis, play it. I play it, and I'm by no means upper class, so you can enjoy it. It's for everyone. Don't let anyone convince you that it's not. Another thing maybe people get wrong about sport, I know I just mentioned World Cup and the Olympics, is that you can only go to the major ones that are ridiculously expensive. You don't have to do that. There are fantastic local leagues or regional leagues or national leagues, depending on where you are. Because if I'm in England, for example, Wimbledon is the national tennis thing. If I go to that monumental, but if you live somewhere else, if you live in Scotland, Ireland, I'm sure you have national tennis leagues that you could go watch. I'm saying tennis because it's what I know, it's what I watch, and it's what I enjoy, but this can apply to any sport. In fact, how amazing would it be to go watch some obscure sport with your friends that you have no clue how it works? Maybe it just has like really attractive guys like rugby. Just go watch that. No understanding of how it works. Just go and look at the guys and get drunk and have fun, laugh about it, go home. I bet that's even a better memory than having to worry if your team is going to win or lose, because then you're just rooting for the hotness on the page. I'm not too sure if I should be rooting for objectification of other people, but yeah. Personally, this summer, I'm going to try and go to Wimbledon. I'm going to camp. Someone invited me. Wimbledon, the tickets sell out pretty. Actually, they don't sell out. There is a ballot, and you put in your name. I put in my name. I wasn't picked to get tickets. So you have to go out and camp from 4. I think I'm going to leave my house at 3 a.m. in the morning for a chance to get a ticket. There is no guarantee that you're actually going to get in. So that's going to be a memory for me to make. But I understand that not everyone has Wimbledon or a version of Wimbledon, and that is okay. But I'm also going to see Queens. It's like Wimbledon's little sister. But it's not as hyped. Like, people are not dressed to the nines there. It's just relaxed. I would say it's also more about tennis fans. Tennis people are so snobbish. But what I mean is that people who don't watch tennis don't care about those games. So the tickets are that cheap. I think there's £25. So if I find someone to go with, I'm definitely going to go to maybe 2 or 3 games. And if you are in London, there are other sporting events in the summer. There is a row regatta. But again, that's a big thing. It's just when I looked the events up, this is what came up. But if you're into rowing, I'm sure there's a baby version of that. And if you're into football, I'm sure there's like smaller leagues that I don't like Premier League, or it can be Premier League, but the smaller teams that no one cares about. Yeah, but you get the gist. You don't have to go to World Cup, to go to the Euros or Champions League or whatever to enjoy your sporting experience. More importantly, you don't have to know anything about that sport. Just get your friends, go have fun, get some drinks, eat some snacks, and go home. I bet you those memories will be worth it. Again, like I mentioned, that I'll be giving some hints on if you don't have a social group. So I encourage you to go to Bumble BFF, because when I used that like to meet girls, to be friends with them, just to be clear. When I used that to meet girls, you would often see people looking for people to go to Wimbledon with, looking for people to go to dash with. So if you have something, maybe you could probably, some events sell out really fast, so I'm not exactly sure how you would approach that. You probably get the ticket and sell it to the person once they do say so. Or before you get the tickets, you start looking for people who want to go. But then the problem is that people are more likely to flake in that situation. If they don't have tickets, there is no commitment. Yeah. So I would encourage you to either find the person and get the tickets immediately, or get the tickets and just, like, they're really amazing sophisticated girls on Bumble. Just tell them, hey, I got the tickets, could you probably go out beforehand? Yeah. And then they're like, hey, I'll get the tickets, and then they're committed. They will not bail on you. And maybe another pro tip that I forgot to add is to go for women's games. Like I said, I was going to Queens, and I'm going to the women's games because the men's games are sold out. First reason, just the atmosphere is better because there is no like testosterone, but also usually more affordable, not as packed, and yeah, the vibes are just pure. Yeah. And finally, maybe you could, for example, tennis. If I didn't have someone to go with to Wimbledon, I am playing tennis, so if I didn't have, when I would go to those places, I would ask those people if I wanted to go to tennis. If you are trying to go to, sorry, I really can't think of other examples outside tennis, but yeah, I'm sure you can find a way to apply these. Swimming, if you were going to a swimming competition, I'm assuming you'd have some interest in swimming, otherwise I guess you would go to see the hot swimmers. But yeah, you could go hang out in places where people who are interested in those sports go, and then you are very likely to meet someone there who wants to go, and then you can go together. One thing that I do is to meet people to do sports with through coaches. So if you want to go to something, let's say maybe go for a coaching class, you don't have to go so many times, just go 3 times, and then the coach, the people he is coaching, you just naturally build rapport with them, and then they can be your buddies to do that sport with, and then to also go to these events where I'm yapping a lot. Let me move on to the next point, which is hosting. I think this is the only one that is going to be for just for the people who have a bit of a social circle. But if you don't have this yet, I would recommend to have it as your goal for the end of the season. So September, or so throughout the summer, you go out and meet people who you can eventually have dinner with. I'm saying this is for social circle because obviously who you invite in your house are going to be people you trust on some level, actually on multiple levels, because it is your house and you have to be safe. And this is likely mostly going to apply to women. I don't know if there are any guys going to be watching this, but I don't know how to politely say this. Ideally, you wouldn't invite a guy to your home that you don't know that well, unless of course you're dating. I don't. You know what? I just realized you don't invite someone you've seen twice, a guy, to your house. But if you went on 2 dates with a guy, most people would invite them to their house. Something to think about. Now, what I do is when I'm hosting, I don't mind having guys at my house. What I do is I third party them. Like for the girls I know, I tell them you can bring anyone, can be a guy or a girl, and that's the way I make guy friends, but never directly, because I've not met a guy that has not wanted to just be more than friends, and it's incredibly frustrating and very counterintuitive, especially because I'm in a relationship. And now, guests aside, the other problem, of course, with hosting is that you need to be able to cook. But if you cannot cook, there's also options for you of things you can do, and the most obvious one is obviously pizza night. Just order a couple of pizzas, or you could make pizzas. You can buy the dough that's already made, like frozen pizza dough or pizza, and it's also not that hard to make. Alternatively, you could get like a main from a restaurant and then just make the side. If you get, I don't know, some steaks or maybe a roast duck or something from the restaurant, and then make the noodles at home. Or it can be a group effort, and then you can do a potluck where everyone brings something and just combine everything and then have a fabulous meal. Just get creative with it. Either buy food that is semi-prepared, or buy some things and make the things you can make, and buy the things you can't make, or just make everyone contribute. There are different options for you if you cannot cook. Don't let Pinterest make you feel like whenever you host it has to look like this. I will have a picture of when I posted how it looked like. This is how normal people live. Don't let social media make you think that the things you're doing are not enough just because they're not Instagrammable or Pinteresting. Actually, it was right there. Yeah. If you're comfortable hosting, which I would say I am, maybe start doing themes as well. You can do Mexican nights, you can do Arab nights, you can do Middle Eastern nights, you can do Italian nights, and then just, so maybe make everyone dress up, well, not make, ask everyone to dress up according to the theme and see what you can do with that. I think that would be really fun, and we'll make some really cute pics. Moving on, the next thing I would recommend to do is concert, but this doesn't have to be a literal concert, but let's start with that. I feel like everyone has a musician that they like, and the musicians do tour in summer. For this, you don't even have that much of an option. Most concerts do sell out before the concert comes if the musician you like is good. I'm sorry to say, but if they're not very good, then maybe that's a good thing for you, because then there'll be tickets left at the end. Insulting people's careers aside, yeah, ask a couple of your friends to book the tickets, and then you can go to the concert. Since it's summer, maybe I would also recommend you try an outdoor venue. It's just much more of an experience, and it feels just very summery than an indoor experience would. I'm not exactly sure what they'll do about the rain. I live in England, so we always have to worry about that. And again, like I've said for all the other points, a summer concert doesn't have to be Beyonce. It can be a small concert, and if you feel like maybe that's not memorable enough, maybe you can go to multiple, or you can make it a theme, maybe make a weekend out of it with your friends. If you feel like maybe the small musician, and like concert might not be too much of an experience, maybe it's just them up on stage singing with a guitar, which is not wrong, but I'll get why you would think that, hey, this is not something I want to look forward to for 6 months. Go to the concert, and if you're close with your friends, maybe have a sleepover after, come nurse your hangover the next day with some fun breakfast in the house, and just make it bigger than it naturally is. And I think that could make a very unforgettable experience. I'll put a couple of musicians that will be coming to London in summer, again, for your resources. I didn't mention, but I'll link a few menus from Pinterest, because I've seen quite a few beautiful ones for the hosting, and then here I'll find out some musicians coming to London in summer. But try to do a few, like one from each genre, just so everyone is included, and then you can maybe find some inspo there. But don't just rely on this, because my whole thing with this channel is like to make us less dependent on algorithms and independent of people's opinions and ideas shaping our experience. Speaking of, I picked up a book about Paris that's really old, like it even has directions how to get there by train, and I'm gonna try picking recommendations from there and doing them in Paris. I think that's gonna make a really fun vlog, like to do something that is not TikTok famous. How cool is that gonna be? I can't wait. I have so much fun planned for this channel. 13 of you, you're going to enjoy everything I have to share. If you really cannot find a concert that you want to go to in your area, go to a music themed night. Now, I don't know where you would be living where there isn't something like these. Jazz nights, karaoke nights if you're into that kind of thing. What else? Tribute bands, like bands who do covers of the artists. Small upcoming bands. If you're religious, you can go to church events. So it genuinely does not have to be a huge giant production of an American artist coming to your city for it to be considered a memorable event. Just go out there and have fun and discover things that are beyond what the major corporations are pushing to you. You owe it to yourself to find a project. I'm sure you've seen this theme of create more than you consume everywhere on the internet, and that is something I'm living by, hopefully for the rest of my life, and at the moment I'm really adamant on, which is how this channel actually came to life. But I'm also just going to slip something in here. You're not a sponge that you need to be absorbing, you need to be in a state of absorption at all time. Give yourself some room, give yourself permission to also give back, to also put some things out into the world. It not only is selfless, like you are giving back to people, but it can benefit you, whether that's financially, though you shouldn't really prioritize that, because that might compromise the integrity of what it is you're trying to do, and it might also make you just make not the best decisions in the meantime. But more importantly, it's going to help you explore yourself, find yourself, discover parts of you that you didn't even know existed. We think we know ourselves. You don't know who you are until you've tried to achieve something that is just so challenging, and then you can tap into those parts of yourself that you just don't use on your day-to-day, because most of the things you do every day are familiar. So for a project, you can choose to learn tennis, which is what I did last year, and that's why I won't shut up about it. You'll have to forgive me, but I'm really excited to have a new hobby. Yeah. Speaking of hobbies, I always try to tell people to have a hobby that is not consumption, and that includes reading as well. Reading is consumption too. Just have a hobby where if you're always taking in information, you need an outlet for that. An outlet doesn't have to be literal, that, oh, I read and then I write, or I watch a cooking show and then I cook. Whatever it is that you're going to end up creating is going to be an amalgamation of all the things that you experience in your life. Whatever it is you're going to end up drawing, whatever it is you're going to end up singing, if you're a singer, I can't sing, whatever it is, maybe you're going to end up dancing, whatever that marathon you're going to run, it's all going to be a combination of the things you consume. The little outfit you're going to wear to your marathon is going to be a result of that influencer you saw who wears that outfit, or that picture you saw on Pinterest. The training you're going to do is going to be a combination of multiple videos, or multiple instructors, or multiple what you do after the marathon to celebrate you finishing that marathon is going to be influenced by something that you're probably going to eat, your favorite meal that you discovered through someone. So it doesn't have to be so literal that it's going to be a result of all the things you are consuming. Like, I'm not necessarily consuming content on how to be a YouTuber, but I am making YouTube videos, but it is all a combination of all the things that I am and I'm consuming, and therefore it is the outlet through which I can put that into the world. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. But think of a lake that has no outlet, it just drowns. So you're drowning in everyone's opinions and everyone's creativity, and all you are doing is taking it. Like, why would you not have anxiety? Come on, guys. So apart from learning tennis, you could learn a new language, you could try to run a marathon, you could take that hike in your town that everyone says is challenging, or that you always wanted to take. You could make a photo book by taking pictures. I'm contemplating doing this. I don't want to recommend a craft because I feel like this is more of a fall thing. Not that you cannot do these things outside these seasons, but I do want to start beading. But I don't think summer is going to be the most ideal time for me to say I am beading. Like, I'll bead in summer, hopefully, but I would not necessarily describe it as a summer activity unless I was doing it like at the park or something like that. But you can do crafts if you want. Don't let me stop you. These are just my opinions. Yeah. Again, I'll add more options in the Substack. If you can click the link in the description, I'll have that are things you can try. Finally, I know the one thing everyone's been waiting on: trips. Obviously, summer is the time to travel, and yet I actually disagree with this. Now, if you're watching this and you have kids, obviously, you know that's the only time you can travel. And honestly, I feel sorry for you, because if we are being honest, it's a bit hellish to travel or even just exist outside when kids are out of school. So I can't possibly imagine it being your only option to go on holiday. Flights are literally 5 times the price sometimes. If you're flying to Italy, I can fly to Italy from London for £20, and in the time when kids are off school, it's literally £200. Flights to Africa go from 600, 700, £800 to £2,500, which is absolutely crazy. So that's why I'm saying I feel sorry for you because you have kids. Yeah. Congratulations. I personally do not travel a lot in summer unless I'm traveling to see family. I feel like, again, this video is London based, but these things can be extrapolated somewhere else. So if you're watching this from a different European city or a different English city, where am I going so far, you can still apply this. My point being that if you are in a working city, like a financial city like London, the weather is shit like 75% of the year. So summer is the only time it's nice to be there. So why would you then move and travel in that time? Quite frankly, it does not make sense to me, again, unless, like I mentioned, unless you have kids and it's the only time you can travel when they're off school. For a normal person, do not be dissuaded by influencers. I think I'm a normal person, and for me, summer is usually 2 small trips or 1 big trip. But like I said, I don't do a big trip in summer, but if I did, that's how it would be. For example, if I want to go to Japan, if I wanted to go to Mexico, and I only had the option to do it in summer, or maybe that's the best time to do that, then that would be the trip of the season. But then you can also do 2 small trips, which can be either to the beach town nearest to you or to a country next to you that is close to the ocean and has really beautiful beachside towns. Yeah. For London, maybe you can go Brighton, or abroad you can go to France, or you can go to Italy. And then if you are in, for example, South Africa, it's the time you'd go to Cape Town if you don't live there already, or if you do, maybe you go there for a while, you go closer to the sea or ocean. I'm not good at geography. For a weekend. And where else? Paris, of course. You can go to the south of France. You can go to, where else is the beaches? South of France, my favorite place on earth, so that's all I remember. But my point still stands. Yeah. So I'm going to do the 2 smaller trips option and just see how you would plan that. Ideally, personally, I think you should plan to do that in June and September. Again, July, it's just too damn hot. August, it's too crowded. September, the weather, if you're going to a beach town, is still going to be good because it is a beach town. Likely it's going to have good weather. The weather's still going to be good, but it's going to be no case. The prices are back down, and it's also your last chance to enjoy the long days before the dreadful autumn comes, especially if you live in London. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Anyway, those are some things you can do in summer. If I think of more, again, I'll add them to a Substack. My point still remains that don't wait for June to come around and then think somehow that summer of your dreams is going to happen without you making it happen. Create the canvas onto which the experiences are going to be created much, much earlier on instead of waiting for the final minute, especially because some things are literally not doable last minute. Concerts and everything that needs booking. And with our new social fabric, with the way we are engaging with each other, which is not ideal, I hope we can change that. Everyone needs 3 months notice to make plans with them. And even when they do that, sometimes they do flake, life gets in the way. So we really want to maximize our chances of this being it. How you spend your days is how you spend your life. When you are 70, when you're 60, 80, whatever, these are the memories that you're going to draw back on to see, to give meaning to your life. I'm not anti-work or anything, but first of all, you can work and still do all of these things. Like, you have a weekend and you can take annual leave, hopefully. There is no day moment, there's no one who's going to come into your house and tell you, hey, so on the 17th of this is when you're going to have the best night of your life, so you just wait here and it's going to happen. No, these moments have to be created, these moments have to be planned for every trip that you see on your timeline, for every hot beach picture in your timeline. Planning how to go into that, where to sleep, where to eat, how to get there, and you do not, absolutely do not need to recreate whatever it is you're seeing on your phone. Just go out there and make a reinterpretation for yourself. It's fine to get inspiration from there, but you absolutely don't need to recreate that. That's actually defeating the whole point of trying to live your life, because if you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, you're going to prioritize the wrong things instead of making memories with your loved ones or creating your loved ones in your life with whom to make new memories. Do you really think scrolling on your phone for the next 10 years it's going to be memorable? Besides, what are you scrolling? What are you trying to find? What is online right now, honestly, that you've not seen? Just open your mind up to new opportunities, new ideas, new experiences, and this is one way you can do it. I hope to see you very soon in another video. You can watch any of my other videos on the channel if you're into that kind of thing. and hopefully I'll see you next week when I upload something new.